Hello.
Hi, welcome to our chat.
Yes, we're late. We're trying this again. Technology got in the way.
Yeah, we weren't we just complaining about technology? And it's like,
Yes.
oh yeah. So how do you like that? So we're just trying
Yeah.
this again. Seems like we're having the same issue on Instagram, but we'll find out in just a second. Looks like we're going to preview here any second. Yay, it's happening. Okay, good. So should be working on on we should be firing on all cylinders now. Hi, everybody.
Excellent.
Welcome to
Hi.
our live chat. Welcome back Thursday. We normally hear at 9:30 a.m. Pacific and 12:30 p.m. Eastern, but we're 30 minutes behind. Like we
We
said,
had 30
ran
minutes of tech issues.
30 minutes of tech issues, but here we are in our bright little cheery yellow shirts.
Yes. I'm
um,
Allegra,
I'm Natasha.
and
And
together we're beyond your wildest dreams.
and our mission is to help you learn to understand that it is important to prioritize yourself. That's the number one part of our mission is helping you learn to prioritize yourself. We are on our own prioritization of self journeys. And
Right.
so we're inviting you along for it. And the other two aspects of our mission is to help you save time and help you achieve your goals.
Yes. And we know that oftentimes one of the excuses we use to not prioritize ourselves as moms is we say, I don't have enough time or energy.
Mhm.
Well, we can help you with that because we wrote this lovely bouquet of books that are they're workbooks, they're short reads, they all take less than an hour to go through, and they're designed to help you reclaim your time and energy so that you can start prioritizing yourself because we know how hard it is once you become a mom to do anything that just has to do with you, either
Right.
because of time or energy, or maybe because you feel some mom guilt or you're getting shooted on.
Raise your hand if you are one of those parents that has been like, well, if it doesn't involve my kids or my partner or other family obligations, I just don't do it, don't prioritize it. Those things usurp everything else. If you are
Mhm.
like, that is me, I am recovering from that. And I still easily fall back into it just because the urgency of what other people need always seems to
Yes.
tug on me. Um, but if that's you, you're in the right place.
Yeah. And if it's your first time joining us, we usually chit chat in the beginning and then we talk about a topic. Today's topic is making time for hobbies as a busy mom. But first, let's chit chat, which it's kind of perfect that we had so many tech issues today because I have been feeling overwhelmed by technology this week to the point where, usually I'm not the sort of person who complains about things that in some ways are outside of your control, right? This is the world that we live in, accept it and move on. However, this week I had an account of mine hacked, and in order to get it back, I had to go through this whole process of getting like a piece of paper notarized to
Great.
verify my identity, which I feel like there've gotta be easier ways to do that, like, talk to me on the phone or, through some sort of secure
Yeah.
chat.
Right. They've done a secure chat video for me where you have to hold up your ID, you show them, you show like I've done that where it's been like a live person that has, you make a quick appointment, they send you a link and you do like basically a secure Zoom where you show them, whatever your
Mhm.
ID is, a bill where you live and whatever else and they can see that your
Right.
face is the same. And that's what happened and they were like, "Cool, you exist. Awesome." you
That
know.
makes so much more sense
Mhm.
than a piece of paper that doesn't have any photograph or anything on it. I don't know, it's so weird, and it also just made me feel like, "Hey, the hacker didn't have to go through this much work to get my account. Like, why do I have to go through this much work, pay $15 to have a notary, make the appointment to see a notary, all of that in order to get back something that is mine to begin with." Like,
Right.
I feel like they should have made it easier on me, their customer, than they made it for the hacker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I and the and what really frustrated me was I thought about the fact that, when I was going to college, so email barely existed when Natasha and I were in college. Natasha and I are the same age. I just turned 50, she's about to turn 50. When we were in college, email barely existed.
Mhm.
So I can tell you for a fact, I did not sign up for all of this because all of this did not exist. And yet, like year by year, it's like you have to know a little more tech. You have to know a little more
Mhm.
tech and a little more. And now I feel
Mhm.
like I minored in computer engineering on accident.
You do like, listen, I'm not a Luddite. I like technology. I enjoy it. I do get sucked into the, oh, this will make my life easier kind of thing, you know? And it does until it doesn't, right? It does until it stops working. It's super easy to use your Apple Pay or whatever, or whatever it is that you're using until like it doesn't work. And now there's like no workaround, right? And you were
Yeah.
mentioning how like there's drones and AI that have circled or just, flown over people's
Oh, yeah, that's a
properties
new
that
thing.
are owned by home insurance companies, and they've seen, oh, that looks like a 20-year-old roof. We're not going to insure that house
Property
anymore.
anymore.
The property
Mhm.
owner, they pull it, and that
Yeah,
person
has this
has no
happened to you? Anyone
recourse.
watching?
Yeah. Have you had that kind of thing happen? I mean, my husband has had identity theft. Of course, it's a huge hassle. It's a huge hassle for the person, of course, whose identity has been stolen. We had to engage in lawyers. We had to do, and in the end, it wound up, they wanted the credit card company wanted us to pay this money that we'd never charged, and in the end, it all worked out. They made some major mistakes and whatever, and it all worked out in the end. But I mean, he got a summons to go to court. They was like, it was a whole mess, a huge mess. And the burden of cleaning up that mess landed on him.
Yes.
He didn't commit the crime. He wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, so, the I mean, that's a whole kind of a separate subject, but it all kind of
No,
ties
it's
in.
totally related
Yeah.
because, this is because before there was no internet to steal your identity from and to go and start purchasing all these things before you even notice your identity has been stolen.
Mhm.
It would have been a lot slower back in the day. I mean, I remember I saw this meme the other day with, those credit card things that they used to use
Oh,
to
yeah, to make
the
it
chunk
like an
chunk.
ink imprint of your card.
Yes, to
You
make
might
an
as well
ink
taken out a
imprint.
crayon and done like like just taken a crayon and gone across the front of your card.
Yes. And they
Mhm.
used to do that sometimes, right? If they didn't have the machine, they'd take a penny and they'd scratch it.
Yes, 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 yeah, Miles, so wild.
Yes, so wild. So it took a lot longer for things to get stolen back then. And all I'm saying is, hey, maybe that was better.
I hear
Maybe
you.
that was better because and this goes back to the whole thing that we're talking about as moms having the time and energy. So between the trying to reclaim my identity on this site and if you listen to our live a few weeks ago, I was talking about an appliance that I am having to deal with that really should not have even been sold to me because 4 years prior to me buying this appliance is only 2 years old, y'all. 4 years prior to me buying the appliance, or almost 5 years prior, there were already known issues with this appliance. Known issues as in, like, recalls and class action lawsuit known issues. So why are the retailers still selling this product, and why did it show great reviews on this trusted retailer's website? Right? I'm not an appliance expert. Are you an appliance expert? I'm not an appliance expert.
No, no, but I mean, you see this too with like, Boeing, getting into all this trouble by pushing through parts that were not well
Yes.
inspected or just kind of like fudging the inspection reports and stuff like that. Why do you think that kind of thing would happen? I don't know.
Well,
Could
and
it have to
there
do
are
with
point
profit margins and
yes.
shareholders and you know what I mean? Could that have something to do with it? I don't know. I mean,
But
I'm
it's
not
crazy because 'cause they're gambling with our lives, like, this is like,
Mhm.
airplanes
Airplanes.
not
Yeah.
working. This appliance is a similar appliance in that it does have health consequences, and I just don't understand because basically they're saying to me like, "Oh, no, your appliance is not part of the recall or the class action because it's not the right serial number." And I'm like, "It's having the exact same issues that those other ones are having. It's not my fault that you went in, like, scratched off the serial
You're
number,
like, "It's
put
a
on a new
whole
one."
different kind of fridge now." You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
you just changed the name or the number." Yeah.
So let me
So
tell
the
you, between these 2 issues, I have been spending 3
mm,
to 5 hours a weekday dealing with these 2 issues.
that is
So
that's a
the
lot. That's a lot.
yeah,
And
yeah,
right, so technology is supposed to be here to make things easier. We're always told, "Oh, it's gonna save more time," right? And what happened when automatic washing machines entered the home? What happened to
yes.
women? We're like, "Oh, yay, you don't have to scrub your clothes on a washboard anymore. You can throw it in this thing's gonna save you time." What happened? It did not save. There's like research on this. Now, it did not save women time, did not save the homeowners time. You actually just wound up having something to manage and repair and all this other kind of stuff. But also it just, your life filled up with something else that was supposed to make your life easier. And, you didn't suddenly have all this leisure time because, by the way, this is the reason I love doing laundry, because you just put it in and press a button and you come back and it's, you switch it and then it's clean. Then the
Mhm.
folding and the putting away part, that part sucks. But, I'm just like, oh, I love doing the first half of laundry, So there are aspects of it that definitely work, but then the pace of everything gets faster, right? So I'm thinking about when my mom was raising my sister and I in, the late 70s, early 80s, and, through that decade into the early 90s, she worked outside the home, but like the whole pace of everything was just slower. Like, so she'll talk to me and she's like, wow, you
Mhm.
just do so much and it's just so fast. I'm like, well, you did this too. And she's like, yeah, but it wasn't like this. You know what I mean? It wasn't,
Yeah.
where like, and at times I'm very grateful that I can text my son's teacher in the middle of the day and say, hey, listen, I can't pick him up at regular time. Can you make sure he knows to go to after school? That's awesome, right? Because back in the
Mhm.
day, like either you couldn't call the parent, or you had to call the main office and they had to have somebody walk down there. And then you don't know if she, what I mean, if she said yes or no, right? So there's
Yeah.
aspects of that's like, oh, amazing, right? I can just text you the address and you know where to get there. And I don't have to like send you believe it or not, people, like even before MapQuest, you'd have to be like, make a right on Roscoe Boulevard. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to like write it out or tell somebody the directions over the phone, like, or
Right.
God forbid, open up a
Or
paper
the
map.
Thomas guide.
Thomas Guide. Oh, I love maps, y'all. I really
I
love
do too.
maps.
I do
Yeah. So
too.
when I moved to LA and my friends handed me a Thomas Guide because they knew I loved maps, they were like, welcome to Los Angeles. And I was like, thank you guys. Like I held on to that thing for quite a while.
I still have one.
I actually don't know where mine went because I wouldn't have consciously gotten rid of that. I think my husband might
Mm.
have gotten rid of it. He doesn't like maps.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who
He's just
doesn't
kind of,
love a map?
I mean, some people don't.
I don't wanna know where I'm going.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So, anywho,
For those
not
listening
to
to the
be like, I mean, we
podcast,
sound
we're
like
just
we're like,
miming, like, tossing something out thoughtlessly.
um, not that not that we're making a case for, like, get off my lawn, kids. Thing is, back in the day, walking uphill to school twice each way. There was a more efficient way to say that. The But the pace at which things
Uphill
are have
both
ex
ways in the snow.
that's it. That's what I was trying to say. Uphill both ways in the snow. That's it. I knew there was a quicker way to say that. Um, we're having to like download an app to get 10% off your blah blah blah, whatever, a soda, a sandwich. It's you're being, there's no escaping it. There's no escaping it. Like you want to go to Six Flags or Disneyland, or you go to Six Flags, they're like, we're cashless. So we're cardless. We're cardless now too, right? You have to do it through the app. You have to, if you um you can like load up cash into a machine and they'll spit out a card for you at the place. Do you know what I mean? But like it's,
Yeah, like
I
their
can't
own
I
debit
can't
card.
yeah, I can't hand my kid $20 and be like, "All right, you've got, snacks for the day. I'll see you later." Like he has to use his Apple Watch, or, we actually have got a little, teenage ATM card. Now I'm really dating myself. Debit card, sorry. They don't call it ATM cards anymore. So, things are
'Cause they
moving in that
wanna know
direction, and that's
exactly where you're spending your money too.
mhm.
Interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, so they can really track where people's spending habits are, for sure. Yeah.
It's
So
too much, it's too much. It makes me wanna become a Luddite, all of this. Like, whoever if anyone or, maybe AI is the thing, like, it's too much. It's too much to manage in this little squishy brain. It's not fun, and yeah, I'm definitely thinking about ways I can curtail. In fact, this identity theft issue that happened, part of me was like, "Do I even need that? Do I need that thing?"
You know what I have
Maybe
on
just
my
like
what made me think of right now? I have a thing from, a letter from AT&T that was like, "Your information may have been part of a leak, blah, blah, blah. If you want." Now they're giving me identity theft protection free for a year, but like,
mhm.
as we're talking about this, I look down, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's that letter from AT&T that was like, your information may have been leaked." So, we got to be honest. It's a reality of modern day life. And it's, we both have elderly parents, and I'm just, it's just so beyond where
Yeah.
the where my dad born in like the late 30s, you know what I mean? Can you imagine? Like this idea of just the other day, he was like, "Oh, I hate that damn computer. I got to go downstairs and check my bank accounts and blah blah blah." So I feel like we sound like him a little bit. And he's like, that it takes so long to start up and it keeps turning itself off. And I go, well, Dad, you can just use mom's laptop, which is like up in the kitchen and, much newer and faster. I go,
Mhm,
you can just
mhm.
use mom's laptop to log onto your bank account and check your thing. You don't have to go downstairs. You don't have to, wait, what? It's my accounts. I've got to be on my computer. I'm like, no, the internet works. So like, and he was like, really? Are you sure? I was like, I'm sure.
Oh, I know, I know.
Yeah, like
My dad
he
my
did
dad
not
thought
get
a
it.
my dad thought a computer always had to be plugged in for it to hold on to its memory. So, like, laptops, he was like, "But how can you move it? Like, won't it lose everything on it if it's not plugged in?" And I'm
Oh,
like, "The
that's so
information's not in the plug. That's just the that's just
that's
the
just power.
energy." Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
get it. It's so
That's gonna be
anyway.
us, with our kids, however many years.
Yeah.
So, we're just seeing, but yeah, it's you gotta
I'm gonna be switching to the phone where you can only make phone calls. That's what's gonna be happening when I'm older. Mm.
just keep it simple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keep it
so
simple.
well, again, I really do like technology, but yes, it can be frustrating. And I definitely feel like I am behind the curveball in a lot of things. And I think the one of the good points that we made before we ran into our technology issues was just this idea of, like we just said, she has to prove that she exists basically with this notarized situation.
Mhm, mhm.
The human aspect of this, right? So maybe you use AI to say, "Hey, your roof looks old. Hey, we this is maybe it's a more efficient way than sending somebody out to inspect." But when that homeowner says, "Hey, I just got them replaced 3 years ago," and they
Yeah.
try to go ahead and reinstate their insurance, maybe at that point we bring on human interaction, human
Yeah.
verification in such a way
Yeah.
that it's not, that people are not being just systematically without any recourse removed from services that are
Yes.
not just important, but required by law. Like you have to have home insurance, right? Or is it just,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Like, how that can really mess with your mortgage if you don't
mhm.
have home insurance. Yeah,
And
it's
doodly doo, doodly doo, doodly doo. Now I'm really dating myself. Wayne's World, party time. I just watched it
Okay,
with my
so
kids the other day. They loved it so much. It's super fun. Aw. Yeah, just well, because the music store that's featured in that movie where he starts to play Stairway to Heaven, and they point to the sign, they say, "Don't play no Stairway to Heaven." That music store is like a mile from our house, and that's where we go to get whatever. The kids need like a mic stand or, some new picks or whatever. So we
Oh,
go
uh-huh,
there
uh-huh.
and they have, posters of the movie and they have the guitar in the case and they're like, this is where Wayne's World was shot. So the kids were like, wait a second, Wayne's World was shot here. I'm like, yes, we got to watch it, guys. So we finally watched it. They were so excited, like that's that music store that we go to. Yeah. So they were pretty stoked. Anywho, that's in my consciousness right now.
So, by the way, if you're watching the live, you'll see I just put up our website. If you are interested in learning more about our books or anything else that we do, you can go there and it has everything. And for those listening to the podcast, the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, available wherever you listen. The website is bywdreams.com.
Yeah, and we
So,
don't normally just bitch about technology. We in fact use a lot of technology quite
yeah,
often. Um, but
but we like
it's just
talking
what's
about
on
the
our mind right
issues.
now. Mhm.
Yeah, the issues we're dealing with. We wanna know if you're dealing with them. Are you feeling this way? Whether you're watching this live or recorded, comment and we will respond to your comments. We wanna know, are you annoyed by the amount of time that these things can take up? Because
Right.
I know I am.
Things that are
It's
supposed to save us time that are causing
yeah.
us to lose time. Yeah, do you feel like technology is moving too fast? This internet that's supposed to connect us, often many people say it does the opposite.
Mhm.
Um, so what are your thoughts on
Absolutely.
technology? And are you somebody who did not grow up with the internet and came of age in your young adulthood to, get on this wild technology ride that we're on?
Yep, yep. So our topic today is about making time for hobbies as a busy mom, and I can tell you that all of these things we've been talking about this first half of our chat have been affecting my ability to do the second thing. And for those of you who don't know, I do stand-up comedy for fun in my spare time, and I actually have 2 shows coming up in 3 weeks. So all of this time that I'm spending on these 2 issues that we're talking about, I could be spending on my hobbies,
Mhm.
and so it's been really challenging because I don't wanna fall flat on my face in 3 weeks. So, one of the things that helps me keep my hobby going, and this is a little bit unique to performing arts, right? Like, if your hobby is a fine art, maybe this won't work for you, but one of the things that I find helps me is that I sign myself up for open mics to force me to go out and practice my material, because a lot of times you have to pay for the open mic in advance. You're like, "Okay, well, I've already paid, I've already committed, I have to go." Of course, as time gets closer, other things come up, and I'm like, "Oh, I could really use
Yeah,
not
I
going to
could
the open
definitely
mic."
cancel this. That would be so yeah. How many times have you done that, right? Where you're just
Yeah.
kinda like,
But I've
mhm.
made some sort of commitment. The organizers probably know me because there are kind of 3 open mics that I go to regularly. So the organizers have seen my name, they're expecting me. I might even be friends with some of them. So, there's a certain amount of, like, I don't wanna let them down, and also I don't wanna let
Right.
myself down.
Yeah, and you have a reputation in that circle, right? You don't wanna be somebody who
Yes.
signs up and flakes, right? So
Exactly.
mhm.
Exactly. So that's something that helps keep me moving forward, in these, making time for something. So if you're, in any of the performing arts, there are open mics are very comedy specific, but there are lots of open mics out there for people, who sing, or maybe you're interested in, maybe your hobby is something more related to fine arts. Signing up for, a class that forces you to stay accountable, or maybe finding a buddy that you can do these things with,
Mhm.
and you get, if you're in person, great, you meet up. If you're not able to meet up in person, you can meet up virtually and just work side by side. That's called body doubling, when you kind of commit with someone to do something and it makes you a little bit more accountable.
So
These are
helpful.
all Yeah, yeah. In
Mhm.
fact, some people have trouble doing things if they aren't body doubled,
Mhm.
because they're just like, "Oh, well, there's this other thing I can do."
100%. That's one of my issues. 100%. Like if I it's not even somebody to like like lording over you or being like, you have to do this. Just literally somebody else in the room that is they were doing something completely different. They're just
Yeah,
there and you're doing it
yeah.
together. And I have a friend who's amazing artist. She's a website designer as her profession, but an incredible artist. And she last time I saw her, mom of two, um busy mom, like mom is busy mom, just that it just that's just encompassed in the word mom. And she had to sign herself up for an art class. She's like, I could paint at home. She's like, but I won't do it. I just won't carve out
Mhm,
the time. And so she's like, yeah, it's a little far away. Yeah, it costs me whatever it costs me, but she's like, and she posts up her artwork all the time and it's beautiful. And it would not happen if she didn't put it outside of herself. And same thing
mhm.
with me. Allegra and I are both not currently this season, but we've been on a I like to call it an old lady soccer team. Although it's women of all ages, but I'll just call myself the old lady. And I this is something to get me out of the house. It costs barely anything because it's through the parks, department. And so these things don't have to cost you money. You don't have to lay down the money for a class or whatever to make sure that it happens. But finding for me, it has to be something outside of myself where I show up in order for it to
Mhm,
work and happen. A good example is when we went on this family camp a few weeks ago, and we got to sit down and paint at this paint by not paint by numbers, but a basically
Oh, yeah, I did a video about it.
yeah, exactly. So I don't remember the last time I painted, and I'm painting and
Mhm,
I'm thinking, this is so fun. I love this. This
mhm,
is great. And had I not signed up for it that day for camp, I don't know when next time I would have picked up a brush and painted, just for
mhm,
the fun and joy of it.
mhm,
So really carving out that time and recognizing, am I somebody who's going to, okay, I'll carve out this time and I'll protect it and I know that I will, or, I can experiment with that. Or do you know, like, no, I am somebody who absolutely needs to have, an ongoing kind of commitment outside of myself, whether it's with another person or a class or whatever, um, in order for that to show up. And I feel like for me, that is the second option is 100% how that works for me.
Yeah, and sometimes maybe you're the sort of person who just needs to establish the habit, and so
Mhm.
the class or the body doubling gets you to the point where, okay, now, like, I know I get so much joy out of this that I can keep it going for myself. Because that's the thing is anytime you're establishing a habit, and Natasha and I talk about habits a lot in our Beyond Your Wildest Dreams everything, you're literally restructuring your brain, and that just takes
Mhm.
as long as it's gonna take. Now science has shown, Natasha and I are big brain science nerds, science has shown that it can happen a little bit faster if you're enjoying yourself, but,
Mhm.
you have to start doing the thing to start the restructuring, and maybe you can't afford to take a class. Look, there are so many free crafting videos on YouTube. It's pretty incredible, and maybe you just need to make an appointment with a friend and say, "Hey, we're gonna watch this video and let's do this thing together." Maybe that's the way that you can get this habit started of creativity so
Yeah,
you can
and just
restructure your
even
brain.
joining online groups where maybe you don't even have to show up in real time. I'm in this group on Facebook where it's called Handy
Mhm.
Women, and like, maybe your hobby isn't, painting or stand-up comedy or whatever. These are women who do DIY stuff, women who do like lots of repairs around their house or just remodeling type things. And there are women who have stepped in there and said, if I hadn't posted in this group that I was going to fix X, Y, or Z, I wouldn't have done
Right.
it. And here's the result. And people ask her about it. So there's other ways to keep yourselves accountable that doesn't necessarily tie yourself to a specific time per se, but maybe you just
Absolutely.
join a group like that and go like, I'm just going to say this publicly that I'm going to do this, and then
Yeah.
next thing you know, that accountability is enough to motivate you to get it done. And remember, imperfectly done is better than
Yes.
perfectly not done. So, and you're worth the time, whatever it is that you enjoy. I think another added benefit of having a class or, in the soccer game, like my family all knew that like, oh, on Sunday morning, I'm going to be gone for a soccer game, is to also train your environment to know like, hey, this is mom's special time that she goes to her painting class, on
Mhm.
Thursdays or whatever. So that when maybe you decide, okay, I'm not taking this class anymore, they already know like there is a carved out time where mom's not going to be here for 3 hours. This is,
Mhm.
and your partner maybe goes, okay, this is so important to her that she's been paying for it. She's been driving 45 minutes to get there, whatever. And so that when you say, hey, listen, I'm painting and that's what I'm doing right now. And you carve that out, it might get easier because you've already kind of pre-treated or pre-planned with your family or preconditioned
Yes.
them to know that this is important to you and that you get to keep that time sacred for yourself.
Yeah, and that communication part is so vital because I don't think any human likes having things popped on them.
Mhm.
So, that's one of the things that we do, our family and our weekly Sunday meetings, which actually having family meetings is an upcoming topic of one of our chats. But
Mhm.
that's one of the things we do is on Sunday, we talk about here are the things that are happening this week. And then the last
Mhm.
weekend of the month, we talk about, hey, next month, so that if there is something that I'm doing or my partner's doing or our kiddos doing that involves all of us, we all know about it. We're on the same page. We've all had time to like mentally prepare for this thing that's going to be happening.
Yeah,
So, definitely communicate about it. That's a
super
very,
helpful.
very important part about it of it.
Super helpful.
And I love what
Mhm.
you said about doing it imperfectly because actually this was a new breakthrough for me. I did sign up for a comedy class, and one of the things that I know about myself because I have a background in public speaking is that I like to do an open mic like it's a show. I like to do an open mic prepared, no notes, no, I'm trying something out, just like,
Mhm.
a show. And there are comedians up there all the time for those in the podcast, I'm holding up a piece of paper who are like, let me try this one. So blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. That didn't go as well as I thought. Okay, here's another one. Literally that level of just imperfection,
Mhm.
and so this was kind of holding me back from doing open mics right now because I felt like, "Oh, I don't have my perfect, new 5 minutes that I wanna try out." And I reminded myself, like, that is something I am putting on me. That is not an expectation. I'm not gonna get booted from the open mic, like, "What? Get out of here. That's not prepared." I'm not gonna get booted. And so for the first time ever, I went up with some notes and tried some new things, and it was great because I got to try these new things much sooner and start working on them, start polishing them a lot sooner than I would have if I had tried to have a perfect, 5-minute set. So,
That is
yeah.
awesome. That is so great. That is honestly so great. Yeah, did you find it beneficial, helpful, like, to
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
It was beneficial in ways that I didn't expect it. I didn't expect
Really?
it. I didn't expect in that
Yeah.
way that, you just can't see what you don't know. Like, for instance,
Like,
sometimes when you have a joke, you think, "Well, it's only gonna work if I tell this joke beforehand," but I don't have time to tell that. So you think of what's the shortest way to get to the point where this joke is gonna make sense. And so it was fascinating to sort of observe my brain going through that process because when I got up, I just said, "Hey, I'm blank," and so my stage name is Chinagona, right? So, "Hey, I'm Chinagona. I have been married for 20 years. I'm a homeschooling mom, and I'm a native of LA," right? Like, they needed to know those 3 things for the later jokes to make sense. Now you got muted somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
S
Gotcha.
so you, Natasha, have seen my act where I tell whole jokes about having been married for 20 years and being a
Yeah,
homeschooling mom and being a native
right,
of LA, but I didn't have time to do those jokes because that would
right.
have used up all my time, right? So I was just like, boom, boom, boom. And yeah, that wasn't something that I had thought about previously.
Yeah,
So that was really interesting. It was fascinating to
so
have that
fun.
experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really great. Well, good for you for doing something imperfectly. In fact, you're somebody who really has shown me the benefits and terror of doing things imperfectly. I'll speak for myself when I say terror, but like, just going ahead and giving it a shot and going forth. So much of BYWD has been created. Stepping into it when things are not 100%. All our I's might not have been dotted, all our T's might not have been crossed, but we were doing it in it and in the game. And as Brene Brown likes to say, in the arena.
Yes. And we were honest about it, right? We were
Mm.
like, we're just putting some stuff together, people. Hang in there with us as
Just like
we
today, our technology failed us, and we
as we polish.
imperfectly
Yeah.
showed up.
I did wanna bring up one other thing that has been helping me with, personal health journey in terms of finding ways to make exercise more of a habit again. I've gone through long periods of time where I've been really, really good about exercising, but as I've gotten older, one of the things I found is that I just don't have the same tolerance for quote unquote exercise.
Mm.
I need it to be fun, and I've talked about my intolerance of things that aren't fun before. The older I get, the less tolerant I get for things that aren't fun, and one thing that's really helped me, and I'm just gonna put this up on our as a ticker, is ClassPass, which a friend turned me on to ClassPass because she and I were playing tennis together, and it was so hard coordinating enough people to get a tennis game or a tennis lesson together, and ClassPass, at least in our area, it's different in every area, it depends on what your area offers, but ClassPass in our area does have a tennis academy associated with it, and so it was just such a great way to be able to step into a game easily without having to be on text, like, "Who's in? Who's in for this time? Oh, no, that time doesn't work, blah, blah, blah,"
Yeah, yeah.
so much easier, and actually, it's been less expensive to use ClassPass than to pay for what we were doing, one by one. So, this ticker below will actually get you not just a 2-week free trial, but it'll get you an extra 20 credits. So, the way ClassPass works is you buy a certain number of credits. Some classes are 5 credits, some classes are 10 credits, it depends. But what's really cool about it is allows me the mental variety to make exercise fun. In
Yeah.
1 week, my favorite thing to do right now is I take a Pilates class one day, I take an aerial silks class another day, which aerial
Fun.
silks, that's like, when you go to the Renaissance fair and you see a woman, it's usually a woman doing kind of trapeze work, but just from a piece of fabric suspended, 60 feet in the air.
Hmm.
That is aerial silk, and then tennis. So I'll get to do these 3 activities. It just keeps it fun, keeps it interesting for me, and so I highly encourage you to try it out. Try their 2-week trial out, but don't try it. You're gonna get so many credits don't try it until you have a 2-week block when you can do as many different classes as you are able to. I mean, I literally took a different class. I think I tried out 7 or 8 different places in that 2 weeks because I really
Aw
wanted to see what was open to me.
yeah, absolutely. Might as well find out what's available, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I highly recommend it, and it travels with you too. So if you're traveling, you can go take a class in another city or state as long as, ClassPass has relationships there. So I've been very impressed with all the things that they've had to offer, and it has, it's not less expensive than joining a gym, but like I said, I like that kind of exercise just is
Right.
not engaging
Or
to
like,
me.
going ahead and buying a monthly pass to a yoga studio. I mean, you're going to get yoga, you get different
Yes.
kinds of yoga, but it's the same thing, right? And if that's
Yes.
if that's something that, after a while kind of your brain gets bored with that, then this sounds like a great alternative to that.
Yeah, and I'm definitely that person. Like if you love doing the same thing every week, awesome, do it. That's a struggle for me. So this is really
Mhm.
helping to keep me engaged. So,
We are
find
so
ways to
glad you
keep yourself
joined us.
engaged.
Yay. We're so glad you joined us. Next week is going to be a little tricky because I will be in Indianapolis, but I may or may not be able to get on. We'll see. We'll see how that Thursday is going. I have a good feeling though that at 12:30, because it'll be 12:30 Indianapolis time, that I will be able to jump on with you for a half hour. I'm excited about seeing you all and letting you know how that's going. We look forward to seeing you every Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And we love to chat with you. We love to hear from you. We love to know what's going on in your world. So please feel free to leave a comment. We read them, we respond to them, and we'll see you next week.
Dream wild, wild dreamers.